Netherlands. Small, yet worlds reside. This is not the postcard Holland of tulips and bicycles. This is something deeper. A place carved from the sea, built by hand, and shaped by the wind. A land where every sunrise reflects centuries of struggle, and every sunset glows with peace earned through resilience. From windmills turning like timeless guardians, to canals gliding through cities older than memory, the Netherlands is a country that shouldn't even exist, and yet, it thrives. The sea once tried to claim it, but the Dutch refused to surrender. They drained the swamps, raised the land, and whispered to the waves, "You may come this far, but no further." And in that act of defiance, they created something extraordinary, a living masterpiece, one where nature and humanity don't fight. They dance. You'll wander through cities of glass and stone, cross bridges that rise above mirrored waters, and step into fields where tulips bloom like living rainbows. You'll meet people who've learned to live not just with nature's power, but within it. This film is not just a journey through a country, it's an exploration of spirit. Because in the Netherlands, beauty isn't found in grand mountains or endless deserts. It's found in the details, the reflection of a steeple in a canal, the hum of a windmill on a misty morning, the laughter echoing through narrow streets at dusk. So, open your eyes, breathe in the calm, listen to the hum of the wind over the dunes. You're about to see a nation like you've never seen it before, where water and land, sky and soil, history and hope come together in one breathtaking harmony. This is not just the Netherlands. This is what happens when humanity learns to live with the earth and not against it. Welcome to the Netherlands like you've never seen before. The world's cliché image of the Netherlands. Windmills, tulips, bicycles with its hidden landscapes, silent marshlands, and the human stories buried beneath. Explore the origins of this country reclaimed from the sea, and how its people built beauty out of struggle. They say the Netherlands is the land of windmills and tulips, a place of calm canals, bicycles, and endless fields painted with color. But behind every postcard and every perfectly aligned Dutch house lies a different story, a story of struggle, survival, and silent triumph. This is not the Netherlands you think you know. This is the real Netherlands, a land that fought the sea, shaped the wind, and built dreams upon the water. Here, beauty was never given, it was earned. Every meadow you see, every canal that glimmers in the light, was once the bottom of an unforgiving ocean. The Dutch didn't find their paradise. They created it, with hands blistered from labor, with hearts stubborn enough to defy nature itself. In this land, water is both friend and enemy. Art and architecture are born from survival, and the soul of a people is reflected in every ripple, every brick, every breeze that crosses the lowlands. As we begin this journey, leave behind the clichés, the windmills, the wooden clogs, the tourist-filled streets. Look deeper. Beneath the surface of modern Netherlands lies something eternal, a rhythm that beats in sync with the tides and the hum of a bicycle chain on a foggy morning. This is where history and imagination merge, where you can feel the pulse of a nation that refused to sink. The story begins in the quiet, mist-covered marshes of the north, where the land is lower than the sea, yet the spirit stands higher than any tide. Here, the air smells of wet earth and distant salt. The villages are small, their rooftops leaning like weary travelers, and dikes stretch into the horizon like lines drawn by a patient god. You can almost hear the whispers of centuries-old farmers, engineers, and dreamers who once looked upon this same landscape and saw not danger, but possibility. Imagine this. Centuries ago, the North Sea roared against the Dutch coast, swallowing land after land. Entire villages disappeared overnight. Yet, instead of fleeing, the Dutch began to build walls of earth called dikes, intricate canals to control the floods, and windmills to pump the water away. What began as survival became innovation, and what began as fear became identity. That's the paradox of the Netherlands, a country that was never meant to exist, yet thrives because it never stopped adapting. The flatness of its terrain hides a complexity few notice. Beneath the soft light of its skies are veins of resilience, pumping life into every green field and modern city. Every brick of Amsterdam, every cobblestone in Utrecht, every blade of grass in Friesland carries the same quiet defiance. We will not be taken by the sea. When you walk along the canals at dawn, and the world is still half asleep, you begin to feel it, that silent strength. The water reflects the city like a mirror, and you realize this country doesn't just live with water, it dances with it. The Dutch learned to treat their greatest threat as their greatest muse. That's why their art, their design, even their way of thinking all flow with precision and grace, shaped by the balance between chaos and control. As the light breaks over the horizon, it paints the land in shades of gold and silver, soft, fleeting, and almost unreal. It's the kind of light that made painters like Rembrandt and Vermeer obsessed with capturing its purity. But what they saw wasn't just beauty. It was the soul of a nation, illuminated by struggle. The light of the Netherlands isn't ordinary. It's born from water and reflection, its beauty made by adversity. And that's the essence of this journey. Beyond the surface lies a nation built not on conquest or power, but on cooperation, people working together to outsmart nature itself. Here, innovation is as old as the land itself, and progress is written in the rhythm of the tides. So, as we explore the hidden corners of the Netherlands, remember this: every stone, every tulip, every windmill has a story to tell. A story of endurance, of harmony, of humanity's quiet victory over chaos. This is not a country to be visited. It's a country to be felt deeply, slowly, and with reverence. Because the Netherlands isn't just a place. It's a message that even when the world tries to drown you, beauty can still rise from the depths. Uncover the untold layers of Amsterdam. Secret courtyards behind canal houses, the quiet churches hidden during the Reformation, and the city's duality between freedom and restraint. Mix history, art, and emotion, showing that the heart of Amsterdam beats in its unseen corners. Amsterdam, a city that floats between dream and reality. To the casual eye, it's a postcard come to life: tranquil canals, leaning houses, bicycles gliding along cobblestone streets. But beneath this picture-perfect calm lies something far more complex, a living organism, constantly breathing, evolving, whispering the secrets of centuries gone by. This is not just a city, it's a soul carved into water, a mirror reflecting both light and shadow. As the mist rises over the canals at dawn, the sound of soft ripples replaces silence. Bridges arch gracefully across the water, their reflections creating perfect circles, symbols of eternity, of balance. But Amsterdam was not always so peaceful. This city was born from struggle, built upon swamps and risk, driven by the daring spirit of those who refused to let the sea claim their dreams. Every canal you see was once dug by hand. Every house stands on wooden piles, driven deep into the mud, defying the impossible. And yet, Amsterdam feels effortlessly beautiful. There's a rhythm here, slow, deliberate, poetic. It's in the way the boats glide beneath the bridges, the way sunlight flickers across the water, the way time seems to stretch just a little, longer than usual. This is the city where creativity meets resilience, where every reflection tells a story. Centuries ago, Amsterdam was the beating heart of a global empire. Its merchants sailed across oceans, mapping the world, trading spices, silk, and ideas. The Dutch Golden Age was not just an era of wealth, it was an explosion of imagination. Artists like Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Frans Hals captured the human soul in brushstrokes that still breathe today. Scientists, philosophers, and dreamers gathered here, drawn to the city's rare gift, freedom of thought. But that freedom came with a cost. Amsterdam's beauty hides its contradictions. A city of tolerance born from hardship, of prosperity built upon shadows. Its wealth flowed from faraway lands, its progress linked to oceans of pain. Yet, through it all, Amsterdam grew into something unique. A city that learned to hold its past with honesty, neither glorifying nor erasing it. Walk through the Jordan district, and you'll feel the pulse of old Amsterdam: narrow streets, hidden courtyards, small workshops humming with life. This is where the working class once lived, where music and laughter spilled from open windows. Today, it's an artist's haven: cafes and studios tucked between centuries-old homes. The scent of roasted coffee, mingling with the faint echo of old songs. Then there's the Anne Frank house, a place that stops time. Inside, silence becomes sacred. The creak of a wooden floor, the stillness of the small rooms, they speak louder than words ever could. Here, humanity's most painful truths are preserved not as history, but as warning. Amsterdam carries its scars with grace, transforming tragedy into remembrance. It reminds us that beauty is not just what we see, it's what we refuse to forget. When night falls, the city transforms again. The canals glow under the golden light of lanterns. Reflections ripple like liquid gold, and the hum of life grows deeper. Bicycles flash past like ghosts, and laughter drifts through the narrow streets. There's an energy here, both romantic and restless. You feel it in the air, as if the city itself is alive, whispering, keep moving, keep dreaming, keep creating. But the real magic of Amsterdam is not in its sights, it's in its balance. A balance between chaos and calm, tradition and progress, water and land, light and darkness. The people here have mastered the art of coexistence, not just with nature, but with each other. It's a city that welcomes everyone, yet never loses its identity. Stand on the Mageir Brug, the famous skinny bridge, as the sun dips below the horizon. Watch the colors change: blue to pink, pink to gold, gold to deep indigo. The reflections shimmer like a painting coming to life. And for a moment, everything feels timeless. The city, the canals, the whispers of history, they all blend into something eternal. Amsterdam teaches us something profound, that beauty is not about perfection, but persistence. It's about the courage to build, rebuild, and keep flowing forward, no matter what the tide brings. It's a reminder that even in a world that changes every second, some places still manage to hold on to their soul. And when you finally leave Amsterdam, you don't just remember its canals or its lights. You remember the feeling of standing still in a moving world, of being part of something greater than yourself, something eternal. Dive into the ancient windmills and the engineering genius that saved a nation from drowning. Turn the windmill from a symbol into a character, a guardian of time, whispering stories of survival, storms, and revolution. Capture the poetic power of human resilience. Rotterdam, a city reborn from fire, forged in steel and imagination. If Amsterdam is the reflection of the past, then Rotterdam is the face of the future. This is where the Netherlands dares to dream bigger, higher, bolder, where tradition bows to innovation. And the skyline tells a story of resilience, written in glass and concrete. Yet beneath its modern pulse beats the same Dutch spirit that once fought back the sea, unyielding, daring, and endlessly creative. In May 1940, fire consumed Rotterdam. The city center was reduced to ashes in a single night. The silence that followed was deafening, the kind that only comes when everything familiar is gone. But from those ashes, something extraordinary happened. Rotterdam refused to be broken. It looked at its destruction and saw opportunity, a blank canvas waiting to be reimagined. And so, what rose from the ruins was not a replica of the past, but a vision of the future. Today, as you walk through the city, you can feel that energy everywhere, a bold defiance against limitation. The architecture here is not just modern, it's emotional. It speaks of survival, of creativity unchained. The Markthal, with its sweeping arch and kaleidoscopic ceiling, feels like stepping into a work of art you can live in. The Erasmus Bridge, stretching across the Maas River, stands like a steel swan, elegant, powerful, unshakable. Every corner of Rotterdam seems to ask the same question. What if we build without fear? But despite its futuristic face, Rotterdam never forgets its roots. Beneath the glass towers lies a heartbeat, connected to the harbor, Europe's largest port, and the lifeblood of the city. Here, cranes move like giant creatures, containers stack like colorful building blocks, and the air hums with the rhythm of trade. This port is not just industry, it's identity. It's the bridge between the Netherlands and the rest of the world, a symbol of connection, motion, and endurance. The people of Rotterdam carry that same energy. They are practical, direct, and proud. There's a saying here, geen woorden maar daden. No words, but actions. It's more than a motto, it's a way of life. The city doesn't boast about its strength, it builds it every single day. Whether it's engineers designing floating neighborhoods to adapt to rising seas or artists transforming old docks into creative hubs, Rotterdam is constantly reinventing what a city can be. Yet in between its steel and glass, there are moments of softness, quiet reflections that remind you that even in progress, there is poetry. Walk through Delfshaven, one of the few parts of Rotterdam spared from destruction. The cobblestone streets, the leaning houses, the small harbor, they whisper stories of sailors and merchants from centuries ago. Here, the past feels preserved in amber, surrounded by the pulse of the present. Then venture to the cube houses, those surreal, tilted homes that seem to defy gravity. They're not just architectural wonders. They're statements, proof that design can be both art and function. Each cube, resting on a corner, represents Rotterdam's refusal to conform. It's a living reminder that this city is not afraid to look different, to challenge the ordinary. By the time evening falls, Rotterdam reveals its other face, one bathed in light and rhythm. The skyline glows like a constellation brought to earth. From the top of the Euromast Tower, the city stretches endlessly, glittering against the black river below. Music spills from open-air bars, laughter drifts across the quays, and the faint hum of ships reminds you that this city never truly sleeps. It's always moving forward, outward, beyond. But perhaps the most powerful thing about Rotterdam is not its architecture or innovation, it's its spirit of resilience. The city doesn't hide its scars, it celebrates them. It teaches a quiet but profound truth, that destruction is not the end of a story, but the beginning of a new one. That beauty can be rebuilt, reimagined, reborn. Every brick, every bridge, every shimmering window tells that story. And as you walk through its streets, you realize that Rotterdam is more than a city, it's a living metaphor for humanity's the ability to rise again. It's a place that proves that even in the darkest hour, creation can bloom from chaos. As the wind from the North Sea sweeps through the city and the lights shimmer on the moss, you can almost hear Rotterdam whisper, "We were broken once, but look at us now." Journey away from the famous waterways into lesser-known canal towns like Leiden, Delft, and Giethoorn, where time slows down. Describe reflections on water, echoes of trade ships, and the artistry of Dutch design born in stillness. Let the voiceover feel nostalgic and dreamlike. The Hague, a city where power and peace walk side by side, where palaces stand beside embassies, and where justice itself seems to breathe through the sea breeze. It's not the capital of the Netherlands, yet it feels like the country's soul, refined, diplomatic, and quietly commanding. The Hague doesn't shout its beauty, it whispers it. Through tree-lined avenues, royal gardens, and the calm presence of the North Sea just beyond the dunes. From the moment you arrive, you can sense a balance between elegance and authority. This is where kings reside, where global leaders gather, and where some of the world's most crucial decisions are made. But behind the marble halls and grand facades lies something deeper, a place that embodies the Netherlands' eternal dance between tradition and transformation. The Binnenhof, the heart of Dutch politics, looks almost like a fairy tale castle, its Gothic towers reflected in the still waters of the Hofvijver Pond. Here, the Dutch parliament debates the future of a nation built on compromise and courage. The cobblestones outside have felt the footsteps of centuries, from medieval rulers to modern reformers. As sunlight glimmers across the ancient bricks, you can almost hear the echo of voices, shaping the destiny of Europe's most pragmatic democracy. But The Hague isn't just about power. It's about peace. The Peace Palace, majestic, serene, and symbolic, stands as one of humanity's greatest hopes. Within its walls, the International Court of Justice and the Permanent Court of Arbitration work tirelessly to resolve conflicts that once would have led to war. It's humbling to think that inside this temple of diplomacy, lives have been saved by words instead of weapons. The Peace Palace is not merely a building, it's a statement of belief in reason, dialogue, and justice. Yet, just a few streets away, The Hague reveals another side, a more human, emotional layer that speaks to the soul. The Mauritius Museum, home to masterpieces like Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring and Rembrandt's Anatomy Lesson, offers a glimpse into the Netherlands' artistic genius. Each brushstroke feels alive, timeless, and intimately connected to the Dutch character, meticulous, expressive, and profoundly observant. Standing before Vermeer's Mysterious Girl, you don't just see a painting. You feel the quiet beauty that defines this nation. Beyond politics and art, The Hague is also a city of nature and light. Follow the tram towards Scheveningen, and the rhythm of the city gives way to the sound of waves crashing on golden sands. Here, life slows. Locals stroll along the pier, children chase gulls, and kites dance in the salty air. The North Sea stretches endlessly vast, unpredictable, yet comforting. For centuries, it has shaped the Dutch psyche. Wild but navigable, dangerous but sustaining. Watching the sun sink into the horizon here feels like watching time itself dissolve. What makes The Hague truly captivating is its contrasts. It's a place where diplomats discuss climate policies in glass buildings, while just a few blocks away, surfers catch waves at dawn. Where history sits gracefully beside innovation, and where quiet dignity replaces the chaos found in other cities. It's cosmopolitan, but not overwhelming, international, yet undeniably Dutch. In the late afternoon, the city glows in a golden calm. Cafes spill out onto cobblestone streets, bicycles glide silently past, and the smell of roasted coffee fills the air. People speak in many languages, yet there's an unspoken harmony, a rhythm that unites locals and visitors alike. The Hague teaches that peace isn't just a concept, it's a way of living. As night falls, the government buildings along the Hofvijver reflect perfectly in the still water, a mirror of both history and hope. Lights shimmer like stars caught on the surface, and somewhere in the distance, the gentle hum of the sea reminds you that balance defines everything here. Power and humility, authority and artistry, progress and preservation. The Hague doesn't demand attention, it earns it, quietly. It's a city that proves true strength doesn't roar, it resonates. That leadership can coexist with grace, and justice can live in harmony with beauty. In the end, The Hague isn't just a seat of government, it's a symbol of something much larger, the possibility of peace in an imperfect world. And as you leave its streets, with the sound of waves and whispers of diplomacy fading behind you, one thought lingers in a world built on ambition. The Hague reminds us of the power of calm. Reveal the secret life behind the tulip fields, not just color, but history, trade, and transformation. Tie the tulip craze of the 1600s to modern passion for beauty and impermanence. The visuals here should feel alive, blooming, and emotional. Utrecht, a city that feels like time itself, decided to take a deep breath and slow down. It's one of the oldest cities in the Netherlands, yet somehow, it never feels old. Its heart beats to the rhythm of church bells echoing over canals, bicycles gliding through narrow streets, and students laughing under medieval arches. Utrecht is both a relic and a revelation, a place where the past and present intertwine so seamlessly that you can barely tell where one ends and the other begins. From the moment you arrive, There's a warmth that feels different from anywhere else. Maybe it's the human scale of the city, compact, cozy, almost personal. Maybe it's the way life here seems to unfold around the water. Utrecht's canals are unique lower than the streets, lined with old cellars that now serve as cafes, boutiques, and studios. As you walk along the wharf, sunlight dances on the rippling surface, and you realize you're walking through history, one step above centuries of trade and craftsmanship. At the center of it all rises the Dom Tower, the tallest church tower in the Netherlands, and the eternal guardian of Utrecht's skyline. Built in the 14th century, it stands 112 meters high, its bells ringing across the city like ancient hymns, calling the present to remember its roots. Climb its 465 steps, and you'll see the whole of Utrecht laid out before you, a tapestry of red rooftops, winding canals, and green parks stretching toward the horizon. But more than a view, the Dom Tower offers perspective, a reminder that endurance and grace often rise from the same foundation. Utrecht's soul has always been spiritual. Long before Amsterdam became the political heart of the nation, Utrecht was its religious and cultural core. The city's cathedral once connected directly to the tower, but a violent storm in 1674 destroyed the nave, leaving the two separated, a poetic symbol of the Dutch ability to adapt to loss without losing identity. Where there was ruin, the people of Utrecht created a square. Where there was absence, they made space for gathering, for music, for life. The city's streets tell similar stories: quiet resilience, steady evolution. In the museum quarter, ancient monasteries now host galleries and music schools. The air smells faintly of books and coffee, and everywhere you look, bicycles lean casually against walls as if resting between journeys. Utrecht's pace is gentle but purposeful, a reflection of the Dutch concept of gezelligheid, a word that means far more than coziness. It's about connection, comfort, and belonging. You don't just visit Utrecht, you settle into it, like slipping into a memory. Then there's the university, one of Europe's oldest and most respected. The students bring a vibrancy that infuses the whole city with youth. Their laughter echoes through the canals, their music spills out of open windows, and their ideas fill the cafes late into the night. In Utrecht, knowledge doesn't sit in dusty libraries. It walks the streets, rides bikes, and debates philosophy over espresso. As day turns to dusk, the city takes on a golden hue. Lights begin to shimmer on the water, and the sound of footsteps softens. Locals gather along the Udegracht, sharing meals under trees that have seen generations pass. Street musicians play violins and guitars, their notes floating into the night air like whispers of stories never fully told. There's something timeless about these moments, something that reminds you that beauty doesn't always need grandeur. Sometimes, it's found in simplicity, in the curve of a bridge, the reflection of a lantern, or the sound of church bells blending with laughter. And yeah, Utrecht is not frozen in nostalgia. It's a city that embraces the future with quiet confidence. Sustainability, art, and innovation thrive here. The newly built Utrecht Central Station, one of the most advanced in Europe, connects millions while still feeling human in design. The city's cycling infrastructure is a marvel, an example for the world of how modern life can move gracefully without losing its soul. There's a harmony in Utrecht that's hard to describe but easy to feel. It's in the way the Dom Tower casts its shadow over students sipping coffee. It's in the way history and progress share the same space without competing. And it's in the way the city invites you, not to rush, not to conquer, but to simply be. By the time night fully settles, and the lights of the old wharf reflect on the canal's surface like strings of golden constellations, Utrecht reveals its quiet truth. It's not a place that demands your attention. It doesn't overwhelm or astonish. Instead, it lingers soft, enduring, unforgettable. Because Utrecht's magic isn't in its monuments. It's in its balance between old and new, silence and song, time and eternity. It's the kind of place that doesn't just stay in your memory, it stays in your rhythm. Explore the medieval castles, ghostly ruins, and legends of the Netherlands that most travelers never hear of. Blend historical facts with mystery, make the countryside feel sacred and eternal, where old stories still breathe in fog and stone. Imagine a village so quiet, you can hear the sound of a paddle slicing gently through the water. A place without roads, where boats glide past flower-draped cottages and life unfolds at the slow rhythm of nature. This is Giethoorn, the Venice of the North, though the comparison doesn't quite capture its purity. Venice is magnificent chaos. Giethoorn is serenity made visible. It's a village that feels untouched by time, suspended between dream and reality. The first sight of Giethoorn feels like stepping into a painting, a living, breathing masterpiece where canals replace streets, bridges connect souls, and every corner looks like it belongs on a postcard. The air is clean and cool, filled with the scent of water lilies and wood smoke. Ducks glide lazily beside narrow boats called punters, their quiet ripples reflecting cottages with thatched roofs, each one perfectly framed by trees and blooming gardens. But behind this idyllic stillness lies a story of endurance and transformation. Centuries ago, this region was little more than swamp and peatland. The settlers who came here, farmers and peat diggers, dug canals to transport their harvest. Over time, these waterways became the village's lifelines. As the peat dried and the land sank, water filled the lowlands, shaping the network of canals we see today. What was once a necessity of survival became the foundation of a unique way of life. A world where water is not an obstacle, but a companion. Here, cars are nearly absent. Locals move by boat or bicycle, and even mail and groceries arrive via waterways. In Giethoorn, you don't hear engines, you hear laughter echoing over water, the rustle of reeds, and the occasional creak of wooden oars. It's not silence in the sense of emptiness. It's the silence of balance, the kind that feels deeply human. You can almost sense the heartbeat of the earth here. Steady, unhurried, ancient. As you float through the village, you'll notice something curious. No two cottages are the same. Each is a masterpiece of detail. Moss-covered roofs, flower beds spilling over with color, tiny footbridges arched gracefully across the canals. Many of these homes are centuries old, passed down through generations. They carry the marks of time-weathered beams, ivy creeping up walls, old windows that seem to have seen everything yet remain quietly content. The people of Giethoorn live by an unspoken philosophy, harmony with nature. Their lives are woven into the landscape, not imposed upon it. Gardens bloom not from control, but from care. The water that surrounds them is both a mirror and a boundary, a reminder of how precious stillness can be. When the sun sets, the canals glow like ribbons of gold, and the entire village seems to float in light. The only sound is the soft whisper of wind moving through reeds. Giethoorn is not a museum. It's a living village with its own pulse, traditions, and quiet resilience. Locals greet visitors with warmth, but protect their peace fiercely. Tourism has brought the world's eyes here, but the village's soul remains steady. Many residents still tend small farms, craft wooden boats, or keep the ancient thatching tradition alive, a skill passed down like a secret recipe. In winter, when the canals freeze, the village transforms into a wonderland of ice skaters and laughter echoing across the frozen water. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't need spectacle. It just is. At night, as lanterns flicker on porches and stars reflect on the canals, Giethoorn becomes almost unreal. It feels like a world lost in time, not because it resists progress, but because it remembers something modern life often forgets. Peace. The kind of peace that comes from simplicity, from coexistence, from slowing down enough to notice the ripple of water under a bridge or the song of a bird greeting dawn. There's a phrase locals often say, "In Giethoorn, the water keeps you humble." And it's true. The water teaches patience. It teaches rhythm. It teaches that everything from the slow drift of a boat to the bloom of a lily has its perfect timing. You can't rush it, and you wouldn't want to. By the time you leave Giethoorn, something inside you feels quieter. The noise of the world fades, replaced by an inner calm that lingers. The reflection of the village, its beauty, its stillness, its grace, stays with you, not as an image, but as a feeling. Giethoorn reminds us that in a world obsessed with movement, there is profound power in stillness. Capture the surreal landscapes of the Wadden Sea, its shifting sands, its fragile ecosystem, and the people who live by the tides. This chapter should feel spiritual and cinematic, a dance between land, water, and sky that defines the Dutch soul. They say a phoenix rises from the ashes, but few cities embody that truth as powerfully as Rotterdam. A place once shattered by war, now reborn as a living masterpiece of modern design. When you first arrive, it doesn't feel like the Netherlands you've seen in postcards. There are no quaint canals or narrow cobbled streets here. Instead, glass towers gleam against the sky, trams hum through wide boulevards, and everywhere you look, innovation. This is a city that reinvented itself from ruins, a city that dared to dream differently. The story of Rotterdam is one of loss and resurrection. In 1940, during the Second World War, the city was almost completely destroyed in a single devastating air raid. What followed could have been tragedy, but instead became transformation. Rather than rebuilding the past, Rotterdam chose to imagine the future. The people decided, if everything is gone, then why not start over bolder, brighter, freer? From those ashes rose a skyline unlike any other in Europe. Every building here feels like a statement, an act of rebellion against conformity. The cube houses, tilted at impossible angles, seem to defy gravity itself. The Erasmus Bridge, with its sleek, white curve, is not just a connection between two halves of the city. It's a symbol of unity, strength, and motion. The Markthal, with its vast glass arch filled with color and life, turns the very act of shopping into art. Walking through Rotterdam feels like walking through the future, a future built not on ego, but on imagination. But underneath all the steel and glass lies something profoundly human: resilience. Rotterdam isn't just beautiful because of its architecture. It's beautiful because of what it represents. The spirit of people who refuse to be broken. Every street, every building whispers that same message: you can start again. You can create something better. You can turn your wounds into wonder. Still, amid the modern brilliance, traces of the old city remain. The Oudhaven, or Old Port, is a window into what once was, where old sailing ships rest beside futuristic towers, past and present standing shoulder to shoulder. Locals gather in cafes by the water, sipping strong coffee as they watch the world go by. It's this contrast, the calm of history beside the pulse of innovation, that gives Rotterdam its unique rhythm. The people here are proud, pragmatic, and endlessly creative. They carry a quiet confidence born from rebuilding an entire city with their own hands. Rotterdam has no pretenses. It doesn't try to impress, it just is. It's raw, honest, and alive. There's a kind of energy in the air that pushes you to do something, to make something, to be something. The locals call it Rotterdam spirit, a blend of toughness and optimism that defines everything here. And the city keeps evolving. Old industrial docks have been reborn as art districts, warehouses transformed into galleries, restaurants, and creative spaces. The Kop van Zuid, once abandoned, now gleams with skyscrapers and theaters. Even the harbor, one of the largest in the world, is constantly adapting, balancing massive trade with sustainability. Rotterdam is proof that progress and nature don't have to be enemies. They can coexist beautifully when guided by purpose. At sunset, the skyline glows like molten gold. The reflections of glass and water merge into a vision of rebirth. From above, the city looks like a living circuit, pulsing, glowing, moving. And yet, as night falls, Rotterdam doesn't roar, it hums. You can feel the quiet satisfaction of a city that has nothing to prove. It already did. But perhaps what makes Rotterdam unforgettable is not just what you see, but what you feel. You feel its courage. You feel its hope. You feel its invitation that even if your world collapses, you can build again. Stronger, smarter, brighter. This city is not just a place, it's a philosophy carved into concrete and glass. As the trams glide past the waterfront and the lights shimmer over the Maas River, you understand why Rotterdam stands apart. It's not the past that defines this place, but the will to keep moving forward. It's a city that teaches us that destruction is never the end, it's the beginning of reinvention. Rotterdam doesn't whisper nostalgia. It sings resilience. It reminds us that beauty can be born from brokenness, and that sometimes the most powerful art is simply the act of starting again. And on a reflective, emotional note, showing how the Netherlands faces the rising seas again with innovation, sustainability, and hope. Tie back to the beginning. A people who once conquered the ocean are now learning to live in harmony with it. Conclude with a poetic message about resilience and beauty and balance. There's something hauntingly beautiful about the Dutch coast, a place where land, sea, and sky blend into a seamless horizon. It's not dramatic like the cliffs of Ireland or sun-soaked like the Mediterranean, but there's a quiet power here, a raw poetry in the wind and waves. This is the edge of the Netherlands, the line where human ingenuity meets nature's wild spirit. The Dutch coastline is not just a stretch of sand, it's a story of survival, struggle, and coexistence. Imagine standing on the windswept dunes of Zandvoort or Scheveningen, where the North Sea roars with untamed force. The air is cold and pure. The scent of salt clings to your skin, and gulls scream above as if warning you of the sea's temper. Here, you understand why the Dutch have such a deep respect for the ocean, because they've spent centuries battling it. This coastline isn't just scenic. It's a battlefield disguised as beauty. For over 1,000 years, the people of the Netherlands have lived below sea level, defying geography itself. They didn't conquer the sea, they negotiated with it. Through canals, dikes, and dunes, they turned danger into design. The entire landscape is a living monument to human determination. Nowhere else in the world has an entire nation been shaped so completely by water, and nowhere else has that water been so beautifully tamed. As you travel north, the coast transforms. Vast beaches give way to haunting tidal flats, especially in the Wadden Sea, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. At low tide, the sea recedes for miles, revealing a shimmering world of mudflats and sandbanks. You can literally walk across the seabed, a surreal experience called wadlopen, or mudwalking. It feels like stepping into another planet, silent and infinite, where the horizon stretches into eternity. Yet this fragile ecosystem teems with life, millions of migratory birds, seals basking on distant banks, and tiny creatures hidden beneath the mud. But even here, the Dutch engineering genius is visible. Enormous sea barriers like the Deltaworks stand as sentinels against floods, protecting millions of people inland. They are more than mere structures, they are modern wonders of the world. When you see the Oosterscheldekering, with its massive steel gates rising from the sea, it feels like witnessing humanity's defiance against nature's fury and its respect for it. Because the Dutch never tried to defeat the sea completely. They learned to work with it. Yet, beyond the engineering, their soul. The fishing villages that dot the coast, Volendam, Urk, and Katwijk, hold stories of a simpler time. Wooden boats, cobblestone harbors, and locals in traditional dress remind you that, despite modern progress, the sea remains the heartbeat of Dutch life. Fishermen still rise before dawn, braving icy winds to bring home their catch. Children still play by the docks, and the smell of fresh herring still fills the air. It's a rhythm as old as the waves themselves. At sunset, the light turns golden, washing over the dunes like liquid fire. The sea calms, and the wind softens into whispers. You can feel the centuries of history embedded in the sandstorms weathered, land reclaimed, lives rebuilt. The Netherlands' relationship with water is not one of dominance, but balance. It's a delicate dance between risk and reward, where every tide tells a tale of endurance. As night falls, lighthouses flicker along the shore, solitary guardians against the darkness. Their beams sweep across the water, guiding sailors home. There's something deeply human in that light, a symbol of vigilance, resilience, and faith. It's a reminder that no matter how uncertain the world becomes, there will always be a way forward. And maybe that's what the Dutch coast truly represents, not just the power of nature, but the power of harmony. Here, humans didn't destroy the wild to survive. They listened, adapted, and learned. The result is one of the most extraordinary landscapes on Earth, not because it's untouched, but because it's shared. When you walk along the North Sea dunes, with wind in your hair and waves crashing at your feet, you realize this is the real Netherlands, not the postcards, not the tulips, not the tourist trails. This is where the Dutch spirit was born, where courage met chaos and turned it into beauty. The coastline isn't just a place. It's a heartbeat, the eternal rhythm of a nation that learned to live with the sea, not against it. The sun sets over the windmills of Kinderdijk, and the sky ignites in gold, a fitting farewell for a land that's forever in motion. As the light fades, you realize something profound. The Netherlands is not defined by what it has, but by what it has kept. It's a story of balance between creation and preservation, tradition and progress, land and sea. Every canal, every bridge, every field of tulips is a quiet victory, a reminder that when faced with the impossible, the Dutch didn't retreat, they innovated. And in doing so, they built a future for the world. From sustainability to design, from clean cities to cultural depth, this small nation has redefined what it means to live with purpose. But beyond the architecture and landscapes, it's the feeling that lingers, the peace in the air, the warmth of its people, the harmony in its rhythm. You can sense that this is a place where humanity and nature have found equilibrium, a lesson the world is still trying to learn. As night falls, the canals shimmer with reflections of light, each one a story, each one a promise. And somewhere in the distance, a windmill turns, slow, steady, eternal. The same motion that has powered this land for centuries continues, a symbol of resilience and grace. Maybe that's the secret of the Netherlands. Not its beauty, not its innovation, but its quiet wisdom. The understanding that true progress doesn't come from conquering the earth, but from respecting it. So, when you leave this place, whether through memory or film, take that lesson with you. Build, create, dream, but always remember to do it in harmony with the world around you. Because the Netherlands is not just a destination, it's an idea, a living reminder that with courage, patience, and imagination, even the lowest land can rise higher than the storm. This is the Netherlands, a land reclaimed from the sea and reborn into beauty. Forever still, forever strong, forever home. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels, and see you in the next video.